So
Awesome. Man, so can you start off with where did this idea come from?
yeah,
Because it's just so different.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And I want to be able to really touch on it, overgloss every single aspect of it. So where did this come from? How'd you curate this?
So, about 15 years ago, I was one of those late people to the iPhone because, I didn't have no money. You know what I'm saying? So, uh, being broke and whatnot. So, I wanted to experience an iPhone. Now, the iPhones came out in '07. I didn't get one till like 2010, and I got
Mm,
like an older one. So,
okay.
this thing called Craigslist, which is no longer relevant anymore, I went ahead and found myself an iPhone on Craigslist. Russian guy
Mm,
sold me the iPhone and unlocked it for me on the spot. I never forget it. And I pull up, I get the phone, I'm starting to utilize it. I said, man, I really like this phone. But being that it was like 3 years old in technology, that's like dog years.
yeah.
So I wanted to upgrade. Now, what ended up happening was I purchased what at the time was the iPhone 4 or the 4S. And I said, man, there's something here because I bought something off this guy. And then, you know, I go to purchase this phone and then I go to resell it when it was my turn to upgrade again. And
Mm,
I got almost the full value that I paid for the device.
okay.
And I was like, man, there's something here. Like,
Yeah.
even if I could just make a little 25 or $50 off a flip, like this is something going on. I see these guys moving around, but it was kind of esoteric. They weren't saying anything about it. It wasn't well known. People were unlocking phones and flipping phones. They weren't telling anybody,
Yeah.
and certainly none of them looked like us. So, you know, it took me 15 years to uncover and dig and get behind the curtain to understand how this business even works to be to the level I'm at now because it's so hidden.
Right.
It's not really popular, and we got a problem in our community that when we get some sauce, we tend to tuck it
True.
and not share it with one another. So it's been a 15-year journey to kind of uncover, find out how it works. But it just started with me wanting to make some money off of a phone that I had, and I didn't want to lose the full value, so I went ahead and sold it on a platform. But man, it's been a crazy 15 years trying to
Right.
figure it out.
Yeah, 15 years of doing anything, man, you are absolutely considered an expert. If
Yeah.
you could do something, one
Oh
thing
yeah.
for 15 years.
Man, I got 100,000 hours in this, not 10,000.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like same with any other thing I was into. I always put 100,000 hours in.
Mm, yeah.
More than that. Like for instance, when I used to do music, I probably got 150,000 hours,
Yeah.
200,000. 28 and a half years, something like that. So
Right.
yeah. But the phone business is deep, man. It goes very deep, and there's still layers that I'm uncovering.
So how does it work necessarily? Like I heard you say businesses, right? You said as well as consumers. So can you
Mhm.
walk me through what is the process like? Let's do both avenues. So if
Yeah.
it's a consumer that wants to recycle with you, and then if it's a business, and is recycle like the correct term? Is that how you
Yeah, I
view?
mean, they can just sell to us, recycle.
Okay.
The terminology is all the same. It's all encompassing, so it's a fair term to use. So a consumer is just different.
Yeah.
They're an individual. They may have a couple devices, 1 to 5, that they want to sell. Maybe they want this year's model and they want to sell last year's model. They get in touch with us. Someone meets up with them, makes the exchange, inspect it, yada yada, quick and easy.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas a corporation is a little bit different. A business, which is what we focus on mainly because it's a volume business. Like
Mm,
margins are typically slim.
gotcha.
You have to give the consumer a fair price, no matter if it's a business or an individual. So the margins are typically slim.
Right.
So you need volume
Okay.
in order for it to make sense. So the goal with purchasing from a business is you typically have to meet someone in that organizational structure,
Yeah.
someone in IT or something of that nature, and just inquire what they have. And if they have something and they're not already designated or earmarked to another company, so when you step in and kind of, take it from there.
Cool.
Mhm.
So let's say, is it kind of the same process like what you did back in the day? Because you do have the name Coffee Mobile.
Yes.
So is it you come out to meet the consumer and you guys do the exchange right there on the spot
Hmm.
and just like you get paid out cash?
Yeah.
Because I'm not gonna lie, like I always bought my phones outright. So I got 3 or 4 or 5 phones just sitting around at the house, right? And I always have this idea like, I'm gonna go back one day and look at some photos or something like that.
Sure.
So if I just got them lying around like old phones, old tablets, laptops, I could just reach out to you and like in the app or something like that and get some cash on the spot.
Yeah, you can go to coffeemobile.com or, go to our Instagram, coffee_mobile, or reach out to me directly at the Real Mark Days, and I'll put you in the right, contact with the right person, or I'll come do it myself.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And,
Yeah.
and meet up with you. And I just assess the devices quickly. And to touch on what you said about, saving your data,
Yeah.
right? With the advent of the cloud, there's really no reason to have devices with actual data on the hard drive at this point. Like everyone by this point should be having some type of cloud subscription where all your photos are, because you're going to be changing devices, right? And you don't hooking them up and trying to copy this to that and the third. That's old school. So now you just put everything in the cloud, you back it up, and when you get your new device, you erase the old one, and then you just restore from a backup
Right.
from the cloud. So
Okay.
yeah, all those older devices, if I were you, I'll put all that stuff in the cloud, wipe them, get rid of them.
Do you accept like any form, like broken, cracked screen, or does it have to be, working order, usable?
Yeah, does not have to be working.
Oh,
It can be DOA, it
yeah.
could be water damage, it could be broken. Now, of course, I have to pay commensurate to the condition,
Okay.
right? So I have
Yeah.
to pay in line with what I'm getting.
Right.
But yes, we buy them all condition. iCloud log, I don't really care as long as it's ethically sourced and you ain't on some YN
Yeah.
type time out here
Right.
with a Pooh Shiesty robbing
Right.
phones. Like, you know
Right.
what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
we're good to go. We buy them in all condition because people forget passwords.
Right.
You drop them, break them, your kid threw it in the toilet, your toddler knocked it out your hand during bath time. Like,
Mhm.
things happen all the time,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What about information,
Mm-hmm.
right? Do they need to be worried that, hey, I sold my phone to Mark, right, and his
Mhm.
people, and yeah, I got some money, so I'm really happy, but I forgot to wipe it clean.
Yeah.
Is that something that they need to worry about, or do you
Great
guys handle
question.
that?
Amazing question. We handle data destruction.
Okay.
So it's the first process in the intake process. We must wipe it clean.
Yeah.
You can't even access anything on there. If someone leaves their data on there, they might have left a password or whatever the case may be. So you have to wipe it clean. You have to start fresh to even diagnose the phone, to even take it through setup to see what it is. And that's typically something that I do in person. If a person has their password on there or their iCloud, or they have photos or something on there, by the time we finalize the exchange, that's already wiped and done, because I don't want anyone worrying about that. But if you have to ship it in and you forgot to wipe it, it's the first step in the process. So the wiping is a must. You have to maintain not necessarily governmental, but good best practices and high standards. That's the first step.
Absolutely. No, I appreciate that, because I know that's obviously going to be, that would be my first concern. You know what I mean? If me and my wife were to do an exchange
Yes.
out in the parking lot or something like that, like, yeah, you think right now on the spot getting some cash is awesome. You know what I mean? Let's go shopping. But you didn't think about, dang, did I wipe that away? Did I leave my bank account set up? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially now with the new iPhones, all your cards are hooked up right to your Apple Wallet.
True.
You know what I mean? So that is a scary thought.
Yeah,
You know
and
what I
there are
mean?
layers of protection against that as well. Like for instance, Apple, you can't just take somebody's Apple Pay and use it. You typically need to have a Face ID or a passcode set up in order to finalize that purchase. So while you might be able to pull the card up, for instance, you double tap your power button and the card comes up, you need a face recognition or a passcode to be able to tap it and use it. So
Gotcha.
they've put certain things in place, but yes, fair concern. Data must be wiped. We don't want your data. I don't want to see your nudes. I don't want to see your freak offs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like we wipe everything clean. You know what I mean? That's just a part of it. We have to.
Yeah. Thanks for touching on that.
Yeah, facts.
I've also you said with companies. So I've worked for a company before where they actually like sent me a laptop to work on. They sent me a monitor, you know what I mean, USB cable, mouse, keypad, all that. Do you do exchanges with those as well? Because I actually worked for a company, and when we ended our contract, right, they were like, keep it. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, you've been with us long enough, keep the laptop. I mean, I had my own personal one already for home, so I kind of just have a spare laptop. That's something you would take as well?
We definitely buy laptops. Now we have specific criteria for the type of laptops we buy because we have to be profitable and unlock the value of the devices we take in.
Right.
So I mean, if you got a 2010 Chromebook, if they were even around back then or something, the answer is no.
Yeah.
I don't want your Windows Vista or your Windows 7 laptop. Now I can help you sustainably and safely recycle it, you know what I mean, and send it to a downstream vendor or something like that. Whereas it can be safely recycled so it doesn't end up in a landfill. But as far as us purchasing those, we probably can't unlock the value out of those. But yeah, definitely, you got some MacBooks or something. Your school gave you an iPad or something like that. Sure, we buy those all the time.
And you said something about safer. So is this like a better route for us? You know what I mean? As a planet, as a whole, doing this and recycling with you rather than okay.
Yeah,
What's that look like?
certainly. I don't think people understand the
waste.
the electronic waste, the level that's out there. You know how much of it permeates and fills landfills and contributes to. It has an environmental impact as well. So. Carbon impact and things of that nature. So that's why you hear companies like Apple. I call them Capple because I think it's cap. A lot of times they're just trying to save money, but they say, "Oh, we'll take the charger out the box because we want to, lower e-waste." Yeah, in theory, that sounds great. We know it's for profit, but let's say they're telling the truth. That definitely will lower the amount of e-waste that's out there because you're forced to utilize what's already on hand, and as opposed to getting an additional item that's going to end up somewhere in some landfill at some point, if that makes any sense, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a huge global impact. There's a huge impact to the planet, and it's not positive. So, and how could it be?
Right.
You know what I mean? Absolutely. Like our planet is full of elements, it's full of chemicals, it's full of gases, it has an atmosphere. There are scientific processes that are taking place at all times concerning the sun and things being absorbed into our atmosphere, and certain materials contribute to that either positively or negatively. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah. No, I could see it. I didn't even know that. Thank you for sharing that because I did not know that that's one of the excuses that Apple gave of not giving us a new block. Wow. Yeah. Learn something new every day.
Facts. Capple.
That's crazy.
Oh, they're capping.
I wanted to ask you about the name specifically, Coffee Mobile with a K.
Yes.
What was the thought process behind that? What's the purpose? There has to be something for it because it's very different and you think coffee, you know what I mean? You don't think recycling old technology. So what was the genius behind that?
Right. Just like with Apple, you don't think of a computer. You do now, but you didn't 30 years ago.
Yeah.
You wouldn't associate an Apple with a computer. So coffee is just simply my favorite drink. That's it.
Okay.
I'm a coffee fiend. I'm on it all day.
Yeah.
And coffee with a C was not available. So I used a K. There's no great story behind it or anything like that. You know what I mean? So it's rumored that apple was Steve Jobs' favorite fruit. So that's where the name came from. It's rumored. I don't know how true that is, but it's the same thing with me. I just said I like the disassociation of it with the association of it because it's just kind of like a more of a conversation starter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? People say coffee mobile, you think of a guy delivering a bag of coffee.
Right.
Nothing to do with that.
At all.
It's just me
buying
all your devices.